Hello, it's Thursday, September the 3rd, and we continue with our mini Bible studies as we look at the lessons preparing for this upcoming Sunday, the 14th Sunday after Pentecost, September 6, 2020. And just a brief announcement, if you have not already, please go to our YouTube channel, Redeemer Lutheran Church, Sun City Center, Florida, and subscribe, because this Sunday is the first Sunday we go live, so to speak, as we will make our first attempt at live streaming the service. So I will not be making recordings and posting them on Facebook and our website, as I have been since March or April, I guess. So please do so. Today we want to cover the gospel for Sunday, which is an interesting gospel in my opinion. And before I give you any more reflections on it, let me read the introduction to the gospel and the gospel. It's the gospel according to St. Matthew in the 18th chapter, verses 15 through 20. Jesus offers practical advice to his disciples on how individuals and the church as a whole should go about restoring relationships when one member has sinned against another. Jesus said to his disciples, "If another member of the church sins against you, go and point out the fault when the two of you are alone. If the member listens to you, you have regained that one. But if you are not listened to, take one or two others along with you, so that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If the member refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if the offender refuses to listen even to the church, let such a one be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, truly I tell you, if 2 of you agree on earth about anything you ask, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them." Let me repeat that last line of today's gospel. Jesus said, "For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them." Many years ago, a mentor of mine told me that whenever you get 2 or more people together, they will find something to disagree about. If we borrow a little bit from each of those thoughts, Jesus' statement and my mentor's statement, we might say, whenever 2 or more are gathered, it can be really hard to get along. In my humble opinion, it does not feel like it should be that way inside the body of Christ. Yet it is. Christian people exhibit the same tendencies as secular people when it comes to our opinions about the right and wrong of subjects. It does not take much time on social media sites to conclude that Christians, even pastors, can be pretty snarky to one another when they disagree. In my previous life, in a congregation far, far away from here, I can remember some pretty horrific fights during the annual meetings. For Redeemer folks, that may sound a little strange, but I have been involved with, not personally fighting, but a witness to some pretty horrific fights at annual meetings. Christians yelling at each other, calling each other names, and some storming out of the meeting, vowing never to return to that congregation again. And I can tell you, I'm not alone among clergy who have felt dread regarding approaching congregational meetings. And it's often difficult to close with prayer after one of those meetings and to admonish people to go in peace and serve the Lord. Sometimes I felt like saying, as we exit the meeting today, let's try not to kill each other. While thinking about those circumstances, this week especially, I began to wonder if Jesus' statement at the end of today's gospel could be taken different ways, depending on the circumstances. We generally want to think of Jesus' presence among us as comforting. Although Jesus' statement in today's gospel about being present with us comes at the end of instructions on how to reconcile with each other following a conflict. Jesus knew that we would not always get along, and there would be conflict. Jesus' teaching in today's gospel, along with Jesus' promise to be present, cautions us about behaving accordingly while being mindful of Jesus' presence among us, even in the middle of the conflict and during the time that we take steps toward reconciliation following the conflict. Jesus does not give us options for ignoring one another, and especially not for talking about others behind their backs. I find it interesting that in the kingdom of God, Jesus says, it is the responsibility of the one who feels offended to seek out the offender and seek reconciliation. Notice, Jesus does not say the offended person should wait until the offender comes and apologizes. I would guess that is how most of us would prefer to handle conflict. Wait for the offender to come seek us out and apologize, and then maybe we'll forgive that person. Jesus wants us to talk with one another rather than about one another. It has been said that there's two kinds of listening. First, listening to respond, which means that while the other person is talking, we're thinking about what we want to say as soon as they quit talking, and please hurry up and quit talking, will you? And in that case, we probably didn't hear a single word that person said. And second is listening to understand. And that means that we're actively listening while the other person is talking, as opposed to formulating our own response before they are even heard. In which case, when that person does stop talking, we can pause. We can think about what that person actually said and then formulate an informed and educated response. Listening is hard. It's hard work. And perhaps that's why, in the process outlined in today's gospel, Jesus talks about hearing or listening at every step. 4 times in the first 3 verses, Jesus makes reference to listening or refusing to listen. And that repetition suggests that the call to hear one another, to listen closely to the truth of the other, is a vital component to a community that is grounded in the ways of Jesus. In my humble opinion, people in times of conflict would choose to talk about the offender rather than talk with the offender, especially if it means actively listening to the offender's perspective on the circumstance and the situation. Our natural tendencies, according to our sinful flesh, as Paul would call it, is to hold the other person accountable, to hold the other person responsible for the circumstances. Our natural tendency, according to our sinful flesh, as Paul would call it, is to not look too closely at our own actions or what might be our own responsibility in bringing about the circumstances. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus appears to set some unattainable goals for his followers, especially things like loving your enemies, praying for those who persecute you. If a person asks for your coat, then give them your shirt also. If your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. Wow. Jesus sets the bar pretty high. And he does not let his disciples off the hook for accountability. Yet Jesus' pledge is to be present with us through whatever comes. It's a promise. And it gives us power. It gives us power to live into our calling. The calling of living a resurrection life. Something I've mentioned from time to time since the Sunday of Pentecost back in May. Jesus' promise is that he will not desert his disciples, and that includes us, especially when we face difficult times, especially when we face difficult truths, even when that truth is about me and I don't like looking at that truth. Especially when we practice living into that resurrection life that God calls into being through Jesus Christ. After all, Jesus is present wherever two or more are gathered in his name. A name that means God with us, who saves people from their sins, even sins against brothers and sisters in Christ during times of conflict. The power for Jesus' followers to be transformed. It's available for the asking through prayer, which of course is conversation with God, and which of course involves active listening to God as well as talking to God. There'll be more on this subject on Sunday, the 14th Sunday after Pentecost, the 6th of September, 2020. And again, I encourage you, if you have not already, go to the Sun City Center, let me repeat that. Our YouTube channel is Redeemer Lutheran Church, Sun City Center, Florida. Find us, subscribe to us, be prepared as this Sunday, September 6th, we go live for the first time. Have a great day. Take care and God bless.